Okay, here we go with day 2 of 813, finding the stretch factor of polynomial functions. Remember, it's just like finding the equation of a polynomial function, but with one added step of finding the a value. Okay, so you should have already tried 8-49 through 53, and I'm going to go through with you how to do each problem if you are still having troubles. Okay, so here's 8-49 part A. And as you can see, I have already written down what I know. I don't know the a value. Even though I know that this has a negative orientation, I'm not going to put a negative a there. I'm just going to put an a there and let the algebra find the negative. That's a good way to check to see if my answer is reasonable at the end. Okay, this equation bounces at -2, so I put x plus 2 squared. Squared is for the bounce. It goes through a positive 2, so x minus 2 is my last factor. Okay. The ordered pair that they give me in 49A, oh, right here, is the y-intercept. And of course, that is 0, 16. Don't flip-flop those. Don't put 16, 0. This is x. This is y. So my y value, 16, is equal to a. I'm plugging 0 in for x every time I see an x. Okay, 16 equals a times 2 squared times -2. So 16 equals a times -8. So if I divide both sides by -8, I get -2 as my a value. So remember when I said I don't want to put a negative in front there because doing my algebra all the way through gets me the negative value that I need. So my final answer is y equals -2 times x plus 2 quantity squared times x minus 2. For 8-49 part B, okay, same thing, there's two bounces here. It's at -2 and at 1. So x plus 2 squared, x minus 1 squared, I don't know my a value. They do tell me my y-intercept again. That's 0, -3. So my y value, -3. Every time I see an x, I'm going to plug in 0. Okay, 2 squared, -1 squared. So on this side, I'm going to get positive 4a. And if I divide both sides by 4, I get -3/4 is equal to my a value. So if I go back to the top, I plug in -3/4 or -0.75. There's my final equation. Okay, 8-50 is next. This one's a little different because they don't give us a graph. Instead, they give us a verbal description. I'm going to sketch a graph because it's going to help me out. It says that the graph bounces off the x-axis at -1. So there's going to be a bounce there. It crosses at 4. And it goes through this other point. Okay, so if it bounces and crosses, let's see. I'm going to write this because I don't know if it's positive or negative. It didn't tell me. I'm going to write y equals a times x plus 1 squared. Hi, Thomas. You just wake up, buddy? Times x minus 4. Okay. This a value is going to tell me if it's a positive or negative graph because I just don't know based on what they told me. Okay. But I do know an ordered pair. And I know that -18 is the y value. I know that -2 is the x value. Okay, and I can use my algebra to find what that a value is. -2 plus 1 is -1, squared is +1. -2 minus 4, -6. When I multiply that side, I get -6a. When I divide both sides by -6, I get +3. Okay, so I now know this graph has a positive orientation. Okay, so when I graph this, it's going to bounce at -1 and go through 4. Okay. Now, 8-51 asks me, no, we're going to skip 8-51, but 8-52 asks me, will 1, -36 be on this graph? And if I look, 1, -6, well, maybe. I don't know, but let's check it out and test it in here. The y value is -36. The x value is +1. negative 36, 3, that's 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 squared is 4, 1 minus 4, negative 3. If I multiply 3 times 4, I get 12. 12 times negative 3 is negative 36. So the answer is yes. The point 1, negative 36, does go along with this equation and this graph. Okay? Last one, 8-53, is asking what information about a graph of a polynomial function is necessary to determine the exact one correct equation. Okay? And the exact one correct equation, you need to know the x-intercepts, and you also need to know at the x-intercepts, is it going through, does it bounce, or does it lounge? Because that will make your factor squared or factor cubed. I'm not really worried about higher exponents at this point. Okay? You also need one extra point in order to find that stretch factor.